A big trend is modern nursery design, which means creating a space that the parents enjoy, that is useful for the baby, and that doesn't remind all of us of Laura Ashley from the 90s. So a big benefit is you don't have to get all of those matchy-matchy sets with the crib bumpers and the blankets that you can't even put in a crib anyway. The majority of the time, the baby is, in the living room with the family or something, or they're sleeping. They really don't care what color the wall is painted, but the parents who are in there will. And most of all, you just want it to be a functional space with really what you need without any of the frills and anything like that, because it just costs money that you don't really need to spend. So what are your plans for your nursery?
We are in a fairly large but only one bedroom apartment, but we're probably just going to be putting the crib in our room off to the side and just kind of decorating around that space. So we have kind of a mid-century modern boho vibe in our home. So I still went with a very neutral color palette, nothing really bright. Our crib is like a white with beige, and all of the stuff that we're really ordering is a very neutral palette. So it's exciting to kind of see it come together in our home because we already have our style in place, and it's just little pieces that are just kind of fitting in, but it'll blend right into our home. But what about you? What was your nursery like?
So I was actually living with my parents when Amelia was born, so she and I shared a room. So basically the same thing. I had my bed, and then I had the crib next to it. And honestly, it was great. I mean, there's tons of studies that show when the baby is sleeping in the same room as the parents, it's better for them. It reduces the risk of SIDS. So that honestly is safer. Plus, when they cry in the middle of the night, you don't need to go down the hallway or down the stairs. They're right there. So for me, it was just a really functional space, but since it was still my room, it was kind of just decorated how I wanted it to be. And now that we are in our own house, she has her own room upstairs, and it's probably double the size of my room for whatever reason. But it's really nice because she's got her bed and her dresser, and then the other half of the room is basically a playroom, which is great because then her toys aren't cluttering up the living room, which I love. And it's really great for her to have her own space that she can go do dress up or play with her kitchen. But it's also big enough that I can, go up there and play with her, and we can just kind of hang out in there. But it's very much her own space, and I think she really enjoys that. So another trend is the baby moon, and these have been growing in popularity, but I feel like I've been hearing more and more people doing them. I didn't have the opportunity to go on one, but Ashley did. So I would love to hear about this. Like, where did you go? What made you want to do this?
So my husband and I went to Colorado, so we went to Breckenridge and Boulder and just spent like 5 days away, and it was our last chance to really go on vacation before I'm in my third trimester and really can't travel. It was important for us to go and just kind of like reset and really get excited for this next stage of life. And I think it's important to just have that time together before you're now a family of 3. So that's why we went. And really, I think the biggest thing with Baby Moon is if you're going to be flying or even driving, I would go before you're really, really large and uncomfortable, because even for me, only being halfway through, flying was more difficult than it was before. So that to keep in mind, and just obviously avoiding places with Zika or anything like that. So you kind of have to keep that in mind as well. Trying to plan it out in advance, and I think it's just important to have that time with your significant other before you start growing your family, and you have to definitely buckle down for a little bit.